mainstream media has been relentless in its pursuit to convince the masses about the impending doom of global warming, often using fear-mongering tactics and biased reporting to shape public opinion. But why is it so important for them to control the narrative on this issue? The answer lies in the underlying motivations of those who own and operate the media, as well as the powerful interests they serve. At its core, the mainstream media's obsession with global warming is about manipulation and control. By creating a sense of urgency and panic around the issue, they aim to influence public opinion and shape the policy agenda. This is achieved through a combination of sensationalized reporting, selective presentation of facts, and suppression of dissenting voices. The media's goal is to create a consensus around the idea that human-induced climate change is an existential threat, and that drastic action is needed to mitigate its effects. One of the primary motivations behind the media's global warming propaganda is to promote a specific ideological agenda. The notion of catastrophic climate change has become a rallying cry for the left, who see it as a justification for increased government intervention, regulation, and taxation. The media, which is largely dominated by liberal-leaning outlets, has become a willing accomplice in promoting this agenda. By amplifying the voices of climate alarmists and dismissing skeptics as deniers, the media creates a false narrative that the science is settled and that anyone who questions the consensus is a crackpot. Another driving force behind the media's global warming propaganda is the economic interests of its corporate sponsors. Renewable energy companies, green tech firms, and other businesses that stand to benefit from climate-related policies and regulations have become major advertisers and lobbyists. The media, eager to maintain a steady stream of revenue, is happy to oblige by promoting the interests of these companies and advancing the narrative that supports their business models. This has resulted in a cozy relationship between the media, corporate interests, and politicians who all benefit from the perpetuation of the global warming myth. The media's control of the narrative is also driven by a desire to undermine individual freedom and promote a collectivist worldview. By convincing people that climate change is a global problem that requires a global solution, the media is able to promote the idea that individual actions are meaningless and that only collective action, led by governments and international institutions, can save the planet. This is a classic example of the problem-reaction-solution paradigm, where a crisis is created, a reaction is elicited, and a predetermined solution is imposed. In this case, the solution is a more centralized, authoritarian system of governance, where individual freedoms are sacrificed for the greater good. Furthermore, the media's propaganda efforts on global warming have been remarkably successful in shaping public opinion and influencing policy. Despite the fact that the scientific consensus on climate change is not as settled as the media claims, and that many experts have raised legitimate questions about the accuracy of climate models and the severity of the threat, the media has managed to create a sense of inevitability around the issue. This has led to a proliferation of climate-related policies and regulations, from carbon pricing to renewable energy mandates, which have had a devastating impact on local economies and individual livelihoods. In conclusion, the mainstream media's obsession with global warming propaganda is not about informing the public or promoting a genuine discussion about the issue. Rather, it is about manipulating public opinion, promoting a specific ideological agenda, and serving the economic interests of its corporate sponsors. By controlling the narrative on global warming, the media aims to undermine individual freedom, promote a collectivist worldview, and pave the way for a more centralized, authoritarian system of governance. It is essential that the public remains vigilant and critically evaluates the information presented to them rather than blindly accepting the media's propaganda as truth.